Hello, everyone. As always, at this point, I am talking to the people who are watching the replay. Instagram is letting people know that I am live. So we are just going to hang out for a bit, see who pops up. And if you are watching this on replay, let me know how you are doing. I am doing fine. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about how I'm actually doing. And that will be the topic of conversation for tonight, letting you guys know exactly where I am, and I hope that by the end of this live video, you guys will have a very clear picture of where you are. So we are just going to hang out for a little bit, and tonight is my first time using my headphones on here, so I'm hoping that the sound is okay. And I'm hoping that we don't have any technical difficulties because last time it was off the track. So my mouth is moving and it's saying something else while the audio is different. So I'm hoping that that does not happen this time. It probably is the Wi-Fi, but as long as the message is still there, that's all that matters. But I do prefer not to have them happen. But again, like I said, we're just gonna give it a few more minutes and then we are going to get started. And as you all can see, I am back in 2 weeks. I was not all the way sure the last time that I signed off if I was going to be back in exactly 2 weeks, but I am glad to be here. And like I mentioned then, I want to move when the spirit tells me to move, even the things that I talk about. So I want everything to be purposeful. I want everything to be intentional. Like, I don't want to do it just because I want to do it, and I don't want to don't do it. Did that make sense? Just because I don't want to do it. So everything here is spirit led, and that is what we are going to go with. Just living, just free, living authentically. That was something that I did not always do. So being here at this point in my life, I have no other option. That's the only way that is going to be, because I tried the other way and guess what? It does not work. So thank you guys for tuning in, for being here with me. And I'm going to go ahead and get started. So welcome to the second edition of Let's Talk. And tonight we are going to be talking about where are you now? So I have to give you guys a backstory from where this came from. So if you watched the previous video, when I was talking about dealing with the unexpected, I was talking to you guys about my health journey. And it's still an ongoing journey. So because of stress and anxiety, most likely, still haven't pinpointed the root cause, but that's what we're going to go with. So it caused me to have chronic inflammation. That chronic inflammation caused an eye condition, and I am still being treated for it, and I've had to adjust a lot in my life due to it. However, I'm adjusting. And it's been a challenge. It has been difficult. And what was so crazy was that I never would have seen this happening. And I'm like, who really would? Anyone who goes through any type of difficulty, whether it's health-wise, relationship-wise, whether it's financial, even the spiritual and emotional battles people might go through, like, you just don't see them coming all the time. And then to think that this is something that could have been avoided had I been taking better care of myself. Like, that's one of those things that's mind-blowing too. So rewind to 2 years ago in 2021, during the time that I was first doing therapy and I was first doing EMDR, and I was on this high. So I closed out 2021, went into 2022 like just pumped, just amped. Like, that was the first time that I felt like a weight really being lifted from my shoulders. I felt like I wasn't carrying anything for the first time. It felt good. So when all that stuff started to come back in, it's like, hey, what is this? Because you think that once you work hard to get rid of things, nothing is going to be there. Like, it's all gone. But I quickly realized that was not the case. And I was telling my sister about this just last night. And I came to the conclusion that the reason why, that there's something extra that's there now is because had I still been carrying what I was carrying before, there would have been no way for me to still be able to make it. I probably would have spiraled. I probably would have shut down just like I used to do before. And it's not necessarily that once you clear things out that things are not going to come back. You now have more room to carry the extra stuff. So the extra stuff doesn't necessarily overtake you. Now you might feel the weight of it. You might feel weighed down a little bit. However, you're still able to carry it. And where I've been lately, it's been my intention to not just carry it, but to carry it well. Because now I'm at the point to where I know it's going to be here. I have to get used to it being here. So what do I need to do, God, in order to be able to navigate life with it? So if I had to sum up where I am right here, right now, in this moment, I am in a place of recovery. And even in me saying that, I'm realizing that it's way deeper than just the physical. And like I mentioned to you guys before, like I had to clear out space before. And it's like I had to get rid of the things that were like super duper heavy that were in the way. So it's like, okay, let's deal with the remnants of all of these things. And I mentioned before that it's not a coincidence that it was my eye that was affected, my vision. And I realized that there were some things I needed to shift my focus to. You know, even though, yes, there are so many things that I have seen that I believe God has revealed to me, but that was not my focus at the time. And in the fall of 2022, I was in the season of saying yes. So even the things that I may have been a little about, I still say yes to. It's like I'm willing to just show up, to just do it. However, in saying yes to those things, they began to stress me out. And of course, by November 11th, I was in a mess. You know, or some people would say I was in a pickle because of it. But even then, it felt like the right thing to do at the time because I was so used to saying no. I was so used to finding excuses. And I'm realizing that while, yes, if I would have said no, I probably could have avoided what happening at that time. But I wasn't going to completely avoid it happening because it still needed to happen. And some of the things that I vowed never to do again, I was doing even with my work schedule. You know, just allowing so many things to just pile up and just weigh on me. And like I said last time, like if I could still go, I would go. So God had to shake me up. And it's like, okay, so while you may not have the same people pleasing behaviors as you said before, because when it's something that just does not feel right to me, I'm going to say no. If it is something that I feel is going to take away from me as far as my time, my effort, if it's something that will make me act out of character, I'm saying no to it. Like, it has to feel right. However, even with that, and being able to say no, there are still some things that I said yes to that probably could have taken a no. And that was what I realized, that it's like, okay, so you got rid of one issue, but you still have remnants of it. And one thing that can be damaging is when you are someone who's independent, when you are someone who's very hardworking, because sometimes you don't have a limit. You will just go, you will just go, you will just go. And I realized this is what I have been doing for most of my adult life. Since I was 18, since I went to college, that was what I was doing, like just having to figure things out, having to steadily go. And it's like going from one thing to the next. And it's like, okay, so this is done, so let me move on to this. And hardly ever did I just have a period to where like I could just rest, where I could just break and be like, okay, I can just relax. Like, I don't have to worry about, like, what I'm going to do next. I don't have to worry about what my career is going to be. I don't have to worry about how bills are going to get paid. Like, I hardly ever gave myself that space and that time to actually do that. So having to be forced to take a break, to take a rest, to where even though I was trying to work hard, where I didn't have to figure out what was going to come ahead, I had no option but to rest. And it's like being here now, like still being unsure about a lot of things. It's like I have to be okay with that. Because again, I've needed this period of recovery. And while I wish it would have happened differently, it happened the way it happened because it was supposed to happen that way. And it opened my eyes, definitely. And it's so crazy because even with my eye being swollen, like it literally looked like it was about to shut, you know, but it never completely closed. So it's like I'm still glad for that, that it was like, okay, like I never completely lost sight of where I was intending to be, what I was meant to be doing at that moment. So now I really am just taking my time doing things. There are so many things. I have had this running list of goals since 2021, and probably you can trace them back to 2020 as well. And I was like, every single year, like, I'm gonna get all this done. But you know what I did? I put a dash. So it's 2021 through 2023. And guess what? If it goes over into 2024, I'm going to add that too. And it's just a reminder to myself, like, I don't have to do every single thing at this very moment. Sometimes the most important thing to do is to just be in the moment. Even by now, like, I planned on having my memberships up, I planned on having books out by now, but none of that has happened. And I'm okay with that because I know the stress that comes along with that. And having that idea that I just have to do all these things because I've been given the idea to do it, that is what would stress me out. So one of my cousins joined. Hey, how are you doing? Yeah, so with that, and something I've been talking to you guys about a lot, putting out a blog. Like, that's something that I've been wanting to do, even have the content for it. But I'm not going to rush anything because where all of that came from was my constant need to be on the grind, a constant need to hustle, feeling like if I gave myself time and space to take a break, I was missing something. Or either I was going to lack something because I'm so relaxed about it. I'm good. That's good to hear. Yeah, and one thing that I will say, having the support of other people has made it easier to be here in this space. And I sent out an email to my mailing list a couple of weeks ago, and that's what I was talking about, like the people who are in my corner. So, family and friends, and just having clients who are amazing, having a boyfriend who's amazing, who's understanding. So many people who are just in my corner to help remind me that it's like, okay, you got this. And one of the things that was very refreshing during a time that I was really not feeling well, and I think this was like end of November, beginning of December. So I got a call from a friend I had not heard from in like years. And talking to him was just so refreshing. And like I told him, like, I'm sorry that I'm not in the best shape. Because, you know, like when you haven't heard from someone in a while, it's like there are so many things that you want to talk about. But it's like I didn't have the energy. And it's like all I could talk about was where I was at that point in time because I was still going through it. And then, like, my eye was still very messed up. I was still very uncomfortable, still desperately seeking answers. And I told him, it's like, I didn't mean to make it, you know, kind of downcast and to make everything gloomy. But he was like, at the end of the day, God gives his best battles to his best soldiers. I don't want to mess up the quote. Or he gives battles to his best soldiers, something like that, or the strongest soldiers, I think. So with that, I was like, wow, like I really needed to hear that because my definition of strong was just taking on everything, even the things I did not need to take on, just because I could, just because I was capable of helping people or just capable of doing way too much. So I continued to do that for years and years and years, and that's what I told people. And finding out what the diagnosis was, I wasn't really shocked because I had been doing that to myself for years. Think about that. Like something I had been doing since I was 18. And it finally caught up with me over a decade later. So I was not shocked, you know. A little disappointed maybe because life had to change for me, but now where I am in being in recovery, I understand that it's best. And not just for me, but for where I'm going, where God has intended for me to be, the people who He has for me to help. Like, I have to be better. Mind, body, spirit, and soul. And that's why I said, like, this recovery, it runs so deep. It is more than just physical. And so I'll definitely send you a message once I get off here. Yeah, that way we can talk about things in detail more because I'm probably not going to hang out that long as I did last time. Yeah, so I definitely will send you a message once I get off here. Yeah, that way we can figure out which method will work best. Yeah, so my cousin was talking to me about helping my other cousin with writing a book. And again, like I said, like it's just been so amazing to have people who still support me. And even with my clients, like with them being willing to take a break, being willing to wait while I figure things out. Even with me coming back to work, I've had clients tell me, like, if you're not 100%, you don't have to rush. But I'm like, look, if you wait for me to get 100%, you're going to be waiting for a long time. But it's still very refreshing to have people who really just want to see me be my best. And that's really important. And that's why I wanted to get on here and talk to you guys tonight, because one of the things that I am very adamant about doing, like as I'm healing, I want other people to heal too. I don't just want it for me. I want everybody to be better, to think better, to feel better, to do better. Like that is one of my main goals, which is why anything that I'm going through, that I'm experiencing, I'm going to come and tell y'all. Now, it might take me a while to get back on here to tell you guys about it, but I'm definitely going to share. And I feel like all of it is a part of the process. That is something that you are going to hear me say over and over and over and over again, because trying to avoid important steps in the process is what led me here to where now I have no choice but to stop and just endure the process. So with that, I just want to continue to inspire you guys to take some time to really think about where are you, and not necessarily where you want to be. Because and especially people who are faith-filled people, you know who you are. Whenever people ask you how you're doing, and it's like, oh, I'm blessed and highly favored, and it's so funny because it's like, how are you really doing? You may not have had the best day that day. So even though, yes, you still are blessed and highly favored, it's like, are you really just being real with where you are? So it's like, yes, I didn't have the best day today, but I'm still blessed and highly favored. To me, that's a better answer. And that's how I speak to people now. And that was a post that I saw like a while ago. Like just being open and honest with people about how you feel. And it's not necessarily being negative. And I tell people that all the time, like this process has not been easy at all. And one of the main things, like, because even with it being a toll on me physically, it has taken a toll on me mentally and emotionally. Because, like I told you, like, once you go through this process and it's like you're working through so many things and you finally feel light, to have something else come in, it's like, what is this? Like, it's not supposed to feel like this. But as I continue to endure, I understand all of this is continuous. All of this is a part of the process. This is just what it is right now. This is the season I'm in right here, right now, in this moment. It won't always be that way, but this is where I am. And one of the things that like I often think about is like having tunnel vision. Not to where it's detrimental, where you're just not paying attention to things that are important, but it's like now I cannot focus on what's way ahead because I have to navigate this space. And sometimes being too focused on what's ahead will distract you from where you are. And like I said, that was always my focus. Once I figure out one thing, let me keep working so I can avoid it next time and still continue to run into issues and trying to avoid things. But now I just let things be what they are. And I probably will do either an email or just do like another topic surrounding like exactly what this season looks like for me, like really going into detail. Because another thing I'm doing to keep myself healthy is to not strain myself, so not to overwork. So I am working on keeping these videos really short. Now last time it was like 36 minutes but my sister was on here and I was talking to her and I got distracted. But I'm definitely going to make it a point like not to make these videos super long because I don't want to do too much. Because before I would do videos, get up here and wouldn't want to do anything else. So I'm very mindful of that. But I do want to be completely open and transparent with you guys to make it just really real what it looks like, specifically financially. Because like I told you, like that was always my goal, to work, 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 work. So I wouldn't have to have periods of lack. So it's been crazy trying to navigate this space now, like just trying to rebuild even my stamina, because y'all, like it's so crazy. Like I didn't realize like how much I was affected physically, because again, I was overworking before. I ain't got it in me to do that now. So even with doing just a little of work, it's like I'm tired. So it's like I've had to figure out how to navigate that, even with eating, because even though the past couple of weeks I probably have not made the best choices, but having to be intentional about what I am eating and having to cook more. Because even though I would cook before, it's like now it's like you definitely need to prepare your meals. So I'm not taking as many shortcuts as I was taking before. So when I tell you like a lot of things have changed drastically in this season, a lot of things have changed drastically in this season. However, I am excited to see how things will continue to change, because as they continue to change, I will continue to grow. And I know for a fact that person who I was at the start of last year is not who I am now. You know, like this person, like she is stronger, she is wiser, and not stronger in the sense of like, you know, like I can just take on everything, but I know what to take on now and what not to. I know it takes those moments to really stop and think about what's important and what's not, and really think about the things that will be put at stake if I say yes to things, even if I say no to things. And also another thing, also while you're looking ahead instead of looking in the present moment, looking back. That can be one of the things that just distracts you and makes you go off on the wrong path. I used to do that a lot in the past. Just always replaying scenarios in my mind, like if I would have done this different, if I would have said this, if I would have done that, then I wouldn't be here. You know, but that's a distraction too. It is a distraction, like to keep you from where you are, to stop you from realizing that you come a long way, that where you are, you were intended to be there. You know, none of this is happening by coincidence. None of this is by chance. And I know a lot of people might have a hard time believing that there is a path that is set before us, because there are so many different options that we can take. But I know for a fact that God is just so gracious that even if we might veer off on the wrong path, He's going to provide another one to help get us back to where we need to be. Now, am I a firm believer that, you know, if I would have taken different routes, I wouldn't still be here? I don't know. But what I do know is that I am here, and that's what matters most, you know, because I can't go back. I can't rush the future. So all I can do is just be right here, right now, in this moment, find peace right now, in this moment, find joy right here, right now, in this moment. And I hope that just by hearing me share my story, that it will inspire you all to do the same. So again, not focusing on where you were, where you want to be, but just where are you now. And think about that as far as where you are mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, financially. Where are you in your relationships? Where are you in your career? Do you feel fulfilled? Do you feel unfulfilled? Do you feel as if you're okay? Do you feel as if you could be better? Is this season just hard? Is it difficult? Or even if it's difficult, do you feel you can handle it? Or are you at a point to where you feel you need help to handle it? That's an even bigger one. Because oftentimes, because we're so distracted by what's going on, we don't stop to think that, hey, I need help. And that's also another thing. It's like with me having to go to the doctor as often as I have, it's like, like I didn't see that for myself. Because even though it's still not the same as like asking a person for help, like you still have to be willing to take someone's advice. You know, still have to be willing to trust in people, knowing that like, okay, they are skilled enough to help you figure out something that you cannot do yourself. Because y'all, what if I would have just decided to continue to self-medicate to try to figure things out on my own? I would have been messed up, like for real. Probably would not be sitting here before y'all. Like who knows what would have happened to my eye, you know. So you have to be willing to check in with yourself, to have these conversations with yourself, and do them often. Now, while you don't have to do it every single day, but as things shift and change in your life, check in with yourself. Make sure that you're still doing okay. And even if you're not, make sure that you're figuring out what you need to do in order to be okay. So again, like I said, I was not going to make these videos super long. Let me do a time check. So I think I'm doing pretty good. This should be about 20 minutes. So I thank you guys for tuning in for the second episode of Let's Talk. And I just heard my headphone cut off, so I hope it did not interfere with the sound. I hope you guys can hear me, but of course we're at the end, so it's okay. So like I always say, like I intend to come back in 2 weeks. Not exactly sure what the topic will be, but if there's something specific that you want me to cover, that you want me to talk about, even if you're interested in getting on live with me and having a conversation, if you have questions that you would like me to answer, you can comment, you can DM me, you can email me at masterpieceswriting@gmail.com. And also you can head over to the link in the bio and you can go through my services and click book with me And if you want to talk to me one-on-one about your careers, about books, about advancing your professional life, your business, like I'm always up to talk about those things. Also, if you want to check out all the other things that I do, you can go to my website. Everything is there. And I don't know if I mentioned it last time about my journal, but make sure that you go and click in the bio the Amazon link for my safe place. And it is a blank line journal for anxiety, which is something I have talked about a lot here. And it is still something that I am working through. And yes, I use my own journal because, again, I created for people who need it. And I am still one of those people. So if you are interested in grabbing your copy, like I said, you can find the link in the bio. And I'm making sure that it's like I'm saying everything I need to say because I'm still trying to get back in the groove of doing this. And I'm so glad. So make sure that you like this video, that you share this video with a friend. Also, make sure that you comment. Like I mentioned before, just let me know what you think. Let me know your thoughts if it was something you wanted to add to the conversation. If you wanted to have a conversation with me off camera in the DMs about something that you want to navigate in your own journey, whether it's a healing journey, whether it's your professional journey, whatever it may be, I am game for it. If it's your book journey, like I am all about writing, I'm all about books, so I'm game for that as well. So again, I thank you guys so much for tuning in, and hopefully I will see you all in 2 weeks. And in the meantime, make sure that you take care of yourselves and check in with yourselves and ask yourself, where are you now? So I hope you guys have a wonderful night, and I will see you all soon. Bye.